My father had us sit in the soft, leafy vegetation that grew near the water's edge. We were close enough to reach out and touch the water, but far enough that it would not distract from the lesson. The mind and the body are one, but it is easy to forget this when the mind is overwhelmed or the body is broken. My father's words came low and steady. His teachings were stern with past wisdom, but gentle and easy like his warm spirit. Sometimes to solve the puzzle of the mind it is helpful to let go for a moment, pull the mind out from that which burdens it. Remember that the two components are one. The easiest way to do this is to passively explore the world around you. Perceive of it with all the senses. Begin with your eyes. Look around you. The rippling waters of the Wellspring lapped at the rocky soil of the bank. The water was calm and flowed more gently in the shallows, but grew increasingly moody and even turbulent along the rocky cliffs to the north. The rocks were mostly sandstone on the levels nearest the water. In the heat of the midday sun, they were all colors of red, orange, and yellow. High above the river to the north loomed the gnarled black stone of the Deadlands. I gazed across the heights of the rugged black stone. Further upstream to the east, random bits of color began to emerge along the otherwise barren features. These bits of color were ribbons tied to the tails of arrows. A dense thicket of cane grew along the bank adjacent to the multicolored mural of arrows. The growing fields were just beyond the cane to the east. From there the older children would fire arrows up at the blackened terrain, hoping to set their arrow higher than those before them. It was a contest as old as our tribe. A bow had to be strong to send an arrow high enough, and the arrow perfectly crafted to stay true on course, the tip hard enough to pierce the crumbling wall. Corey and I sat to either side of my father along the bank of the Wellspring. Green encircled us in all imaginable shapes and sizes, it seemed. Behind us was an arching forest. We were well beyond the reach of the distant tips of its branches. Further down the river, the banks were covered in thick wild grass. The grasses grew taller and more dense along the river's path into the wetlands. Here the grass was tame like the flow of the river, gently swaying in the breeze that blew. This was a place of peace. Now I want both of you to close your eyes. My father's words came again. Try to visualize your surroundings. Recall as much as you can. I heard my father begin to stir as he spoke. Half bored and hardly meditating, my eyes opened before I'd realized. I saw my father standing over Corey, tying a blue band of cloth around his head to cover his eyes. Centered on Corey's face was the symbol of a blazing sun. "Kael, eyes closed," came his voice as he noticed he was being watched. Corey didn't seem to stir at all. I quickly closed my eyes and redirected toward the splashing sounds of the riverbank. Soon my father's footsteps came close behind me. I heard the soft rustle of what I assumed was another headband, like the one Corey had been given, as it was pulled from his waistband. I struggled to keep my eyes closed, as a soft cloth wrapped gently over my eyes. I felt a slight tug, as my father secured the blindfold in place behind my mass of dark, matted hair. As you imagine your surroundings, seek to connect to them as well. Listen, breathe, and feel the world around you. In time, one can learn to master all the dimensions of perception, strengthening the bond between mind and body. He sat between us again. Breathe into the world. Breathe out to the world, my father coached in a soft, low voice, grinding just above a whisper before slowly fading to silence. The fresh smell of the river was aromatic and powerful. It smelled of life and a bit fishy. It seemed to punctuate the other scents, as the crisp smell of vegetation mixed with the rich smell of the soil. The trickling sound of the river was almost overpowering. The ripple of the water's edge was crisp, and behind it was the deep roll of the current rushing past a few large rocks fallen from the northern ledge. The more distant sounds echoed off the stone wall, adding a magical rolling depth that drew my perception of my surroundings even further. Soon other sounds began to emerge. A groaning sound came from the tall shoots of cane as the stalks rubbed together in the breeze. The soft, leafy blades of grass made flapping sounds here and there when they caught the occasional gust. Birds chirped in all possible directions, it seemed, as the croaking of frogs sang throughout the foliage along the river. We sat in silence for some time. I had stopped trying to picture everything and simply sat in the warm sunlight, the breeze from the water to keep me cool. The experience was incredible. It was as if I had forgotten the beauty of my homeland, the very awe-inspiring phenomena of the natural world and all the life that thrived there. Suddenly my woe was melted, and tranquility eased over me. I forgave myself for the incident with Pole, and silently promised that it would be the last time my actions would scar one of my own. I would protect the peace between brothers. "Do you feel it yet? The connection with the Great Mother?" My father's voice came low, but it broke through the prolonged silence like a crashing cymbal. I all but jumped out of my skin. Corey had been startled all the same, as a hearty, "Son's alive!" burst from him. My father's thunderous laughter seemed almost unbearably loud, and soon we were all laughing. The moment passed, and my father's voice became serious again. "Meditation is a tool. Helps to keep a warrior in tune. Remember, you are connected always. just as we are each connected through the mother. What burdens one can grow to burden many, if simply ignored. You have to face the negativity within yourself. Only after you accept the truth in your heart can you hope to conquer your hurt, your anger. Learn to channel your emotions, make it your strength instead of weakness. Let the brighter part of your past be your strength to face today and your reason to wake tomorrow. Pain and sorrow will pass, but only if you let go long enough to see beyond them. His words rang with the depth of experience. Corey and I uttered not a word. What was there to be said? "Thank you, Father," I said finally, not knowing how else to respond. "Thank you," Corey repeated, his voice deep and quivering. He sounded like he was on the brink of tears, if he hadn't shed any already. This lesson was heartfelt for each of us, as it seemed the pain of loss still lingered from past years. "Now," my father spoke in a lighter tone, shaking us free of the somber moment. "You two are ready to take your training to the next level. Rise to your feet and make your way to the water's edge." As I shuffled to my feet, I heard my brother and father do the same. The water was only a few careful steps from where I had sat for so long. My feet were a bit numb, and it took a moment for my legs to regain their strength. Slowly but surely, I blindly wobbled to the water's edge. The water was cold on my feet, sending a rush through my body as my toes touched the icy ripples. I waited on the bank for our next instructions. Corey must have made his way to the water as well, as he let out a surprised "Oosh!" The feeling was mutual, as was the laughter that followed. "Oh, come now, it's not that cold," my father teased. He splashed with his steps, sloshing icy droplets of water all over Corey and me as he entered the water. He laughed merrily at the cringing gasp that came. "Now I want the two of you to step in further as well. Take care not to trip. The water is a bit chill," he bellowed with laughter. Corey and I carefully made our way into the water until we were as far in as my father.